Welcome back to KARE 11 News Now. I'm Chris Harapsky. Right now, there is an art class in Minnesota where the painting is only part of the craft. It's what's being painted on and with. That's part of a much bigger picture. Jessica Hart explains in Lifting Voices.
I have some hides here.
Stories aren't always told through books.
You start in the middle and you work out.
Stories are sometimes told through art.
It's a gift, and I embrace it.
An art Ferncloud has mastered.
I've been doing this for 30 years, traditional buffalo hide painting.
Hide painting is how Fern's ancestors told their stories.
A lot of people do hide painting.
But none of those people quite like her.
Doing it just the way our ancestors did, using buffalo bone brushes, willow sticks, natural paint pigments. These are the bone brushes. If you pick one up and look at it, you'll see it's like a sponge. It's porous.
No stores centuries ago, but fields of buffalo.
Using every part of the buffalo was essential, I think, for our survival. And we honored the buffalo.
Nothing wasted.
So this is the genius of our ancestors, of using natural things.
So she wastes nothing.
Our people use these as containers for putting paint in there. It could be at a joint.
Fern serves as the ligament between past and present.
I always say every time I work on a hide, I feel a connection to my ancestors and all those, that came before me.
A connection she doesn't want to fade away.
I've never met another Dakota hide painter. I'm sure they're out there, but I've never met any.
It's why she introduces new people
The willow stick has this porous center.
to old techniques.
So I can make this real sharp for a fine, or just leave it dull for a line.
This is really hard to do, especially using the traditional tools. So I have a lot of respect for traditional hide painters.
Genesis Fonder is learning her hands aren't always in control.
I think that it makes a more unique product because you don't have as much control.
And that's the beauty of reviving an age-old art.
My passion is to preserve what our ancestors created. I really don't know where they would find this information. Wow, that's interesting that you did the background all green. I really like that.
So Fern keeps painting,
This is going to be a flower.
planting seeds of her people's story
Really good to see.
along the way.
Once you worked with bone brushes, it's just so fun.
In St. Paul, Jessica Hart,
Very nice.
KARE 11 News.
Fern's always looking to teach and is available to host classes. You can see her work on display at the Minnesota Historical Society. Meals on Wheels has served 28,000 meals to local veterans in just 18 months, and that's thanks to a state pilot program that has had bipartisan support. But that program is only funded through June, and despite receiving praise for being well-run and cost-effective, its future is still in doubt.
That sounds like somebody's trying to get in.
Visitors are a welcome distraction
Let me get that.
for retired Vietnam vet
There you go.
Carter Drake.
We're around front if you want to come in. I'll open the door.
And since August, his most regular visitors have come bearing
Thank you so much.
lunch. Metro Meals on Wheels serves about 5,000 meals a day to seniors who qualify. But the meals Carter and roughly 200 other vets receive wouldn't be possible
Greek chicken pasta.
without funding from a state pilot program approved 2 years ago,
It's very tasty.
geared directly to vets who wouldn't otherwise qualify.
It helps because everything is high these days. You have to do lunch and dinner. It's very costly.
Ironically, the state's own financial crunch means the future of these meals is uncertain.
Please know that this appropriation will go to those veterans who need it most.
DFL Representative David Gottfried is sponsoring a bill that would renew the pilot program for another 2 years at a cost of $1 million.
How are we proving that this money that is going for veterans is not offsetting the money that you would currently use to serve veterans?
We have seen a 60% increase in demand since the beginning of the pandemic. As a matter of fact, this week we've already had 7 requests from veterans. Unfortunately, for the first time ever, as the baby boomer generation ages, we are seeing wait lists for Meals on Wheels. This pot is the last resort. If they're eligible for other funds, they are restricted from being on this program.
Meals on Wheels executive director testified that 90% of the funding goes directly to meals, which carry an actual cost of about $9 each.
And, it just kind of makes my day.
Though Carter testified to their true value.
Since I've been retired, it's given my life some structure. I believe it's been a blessing for me personally. And, I'm just here to hope that it continues. Well, I think it's important.
If it does, he says it would send a message at a critical time.
It not only helps financially, it helps knowing that, it kind of have a feeling that someone cares.
That program received praise from both Democrats and Republicans during Wednesday's hearing, and legislators are also considering a companion bill that would expand delivery to vets across the state. But that would add another $500,000 to the bottom line at a time when budget cuts are all but certain. The Twins home opener today, as we said. For those planning on heading to the ballpark, you'll notice a new way of getting inside Target Field this season. The Twins will be using a new system called Go Ahead Entry that uses people's face as their ticket. If you have a ticket, all you have to do is walk past the kiosk at one of the 4 assigned gates. You have to download the MLB app, the ballpark app, to get it set up. The process takes less than a minute, and you can just make your way into 2.5 times as quickly. Carrie Zaremba with the MLB says the whole point is to improve the fan experience.
Families and groups being able to walk in together, easy, seamlessly, and faster, definitely part of the solution.
Team officials say they'll evaluate them throughout the summer to see if they need to add more gates as soon as the season goes on. Hey, stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.